Welcome to the 2023 Locks of Legacy ceremony. I'm Chaplain Mindy, and I'm so happy that you all are here today.
Hello, everyone. I'm Kyla Aquino Irving of Sierra Donor Services. As a transplant recipient, I have a profound gratitude for each and every person in this room for being a part of nothing short of a miracle. I'm humbled to host this live virtual donor recognition ceremony with Chaplain Mindy Russell here today. We hope that you've had a chance to enjoy some of the refreshments located at the back of the room. And Chaplain Mindy will share how today's going to go.
Okay, so everybody likes to know what's happening, what am I looking into, right? So here is how the ceremony is going to go. We will spend the next hour and a half honoring the gifts of life that your loved ones so generously gave as an organ, eye, or tissue donor. You'll meet the people who were involved in the donation process, as well as hear from a donor's mom and a transplant recipient. Then we will read the names of our donor heroes from 2022, one at a time. When we call your loved one's name, please stand up so we can acknowledge them.
And just some housekeeping notes. Please know that the restrooms are just located outside of these doors. And we want you to know, I know some people were asking, I'm a little bit nervous about today, I'm a little anxious, I don't know how to feel. And the answer is, however you feel today is absolutely perfect. If you feel celebratory or a little sad, it's perfectly okay. This is a safe space for you and for all of your emotions. We are actually the only event in the building, so if you need to step away at any point, the Union Building's tables out there are free for you to use. And event staff are available to assist you. Just find anyone in a blue shirt there.
When Kylie was talking about how we feel different, this is a wonderful celebration, and yet it is also a time that we can grieve together. There's a great expression that says, grief shared is grief divided. Love shared is love multiplied. And today, that is exactly what we're going to be in the presence of with each other, that we're sharing each other's grief, and we're sharing our love for each other, as well as for the people that receive the donations.
Today we honor the generous gift of life that your loved ones gave. Although we may not say every single donor's name by name, today we honor the 154 donor heroes in the region who saved 401 lives through organ donation, and the 881 donor heroes who improved thousands of lives through tissue donation. So first, we'd like to introduce Mr. Sean Van Slyke, the Executive Director of Sierra Donor Services.
Good afternoon, everybody. Can you hear me okay? I think we'll have the folks in the back. I'll try and talk as loud as I can. Thank you, Chaplain Mindy and Kyla, for helping set the stage for us. I want to just take a moment and ask everybody to look around the room. I want to thank you all for being here today. This is a really important event for us to connect with our donor families and recognize our donor heroes. We haven't been able to do this for the past few years because of COVID, and I think I had an opportunity to connect with several of you as you came in today, and I think it's really wonderful that we're able to do this together today and recognize our donor heroes. So again, as Kyla said, I'm the Executive Director for Sierra Donor Services, and I'm incredibly humbled to be a part of today's event. So our mission at Sierra Donor Services is to save and improve lives through organ, eye, and tissue donation. And we're honored to support our donor families like you all in the most tender moments of life. We have an incredible team of dedicated, compassionate staff, which are all here, or some of them are here today, in the back in the blue shirts. And we're fully committed to honoring our selfless donor heroes and compassionately guiding our families through the donation process. We are all privileged to be with you today. to celebrate our Locks of Legacy ceremony. And perfect, so they have it up on the screen. So we, several years back, I want to give a shout out. Deanna's here somewhere. Deanna Santana, years ago, helped us think about a really amazing way that we can honor and recognize our donor heroes. And so again, I can't see you so well, so I apologize, but that's our honor wall. What we have on those wall are beautiful engraved locks that are honoring our donor heroes for their extraordinary generosity. That wall is positioned, I think it shows it, right in front of our office. And I can tell you that for me, for all of our staff and all of our visitors, that serves as a centering point for all of us. It centers us around our mission, and I think what it also does is it makes sure that we have a continued vigil for all of your loved ones, our donor heroes. As mentioned, we have several guest speakers today. I want to thank them for joining us. They're going to share their connections and stories around donation. Again, thank you to those individuals. As Kyla mentioned earlier, the decision to donate life impacts countless individuals, and we're grateful for all of our organ, eye, and tissue donors who were either registered and or their families supported donation in 2022. Thank you again for joining us today. We're really excited to be here with you. I think as Kyla said, we hopefully can laugh a little, cry a little, but ultimately make sure that we come together to honor our donor heroes. So thank you again for being here today.
All right, one of the things that I want to encourage you all is today, it could be relationship building, but actually we're in a room of connection. Every one of us can connect because of who we are to who that person was in our lives that so graciously gave a gift of life. So don't leave today without at least connecting with one other person, maybe like you, or somebody that has a different person that they represent today. I'm a mom, and my son is starting the process of getting a kidney donation. So where you are, I'm just starting it. And I see powerful heroes in front of me. Thank you all for your determination to do the right thing and do a donation. I'm praying my kidney matches. What do you think? All right, so we're going to go to the word of prayer. We're going to do a moment of silence for all of our donations, all of our donors. And then I'll go ahead and finish you as I speak a blessing over you all today in the ceremony. Would you bow your hands with me in a moment of silence? Gracious God, you see every one of your children here. You have collected their tears. You have heard their whys. You have been a part of every step that they've had to take. And Lord, I just pray that they realize that you speak truth. Your promises are real when you say, I am with you always. Help us sometimes when we don't feel that. Help us sometimes when we just don't really truly understand. And Lord, help us that even when those whys may never be answered, that you would provide your peace, not the world's peace, but your peace, and how you can give us ways to step one step at a time. I thank you for opportunities like this, that people can come together and know they are not alone, and that they have questions, concerns, or thoughts that have never been able to be addressed, that they're in a safe place today they can talk to so many of us that are willing and able. So bless this ceremony. Bless the speakers. Bless every person here. As I say, I pray a blessing over them in your precious name. Amen.
I'd like to welcome Miss Deanna Santana to share her story today.
You know, today, when I walked in today, I could feel that today is, this room is filled with love and emotion and so many things. And for my sake, because I'm nervous, can everybody just take a big collective breath and let it out? All right, I have with me Scott's niece, Shayla, and she wants to stay up here, and at the end, she wants to tell you something about her uncle. When Kyla first asked me to come today, I'm a little out of practice. I'm coming out of retirement for this, and I considered starting with a song, and it was going to go something like this. Let me tell you a little story about a guy named Scott, but I don't sing, as you can tell. And I know that many of you are still in a part of your grief that laughter doesn't feel natural, that when you laugh, it feels like it's coming from someplace other than yourself, and I want to honor that. Then I thought maybe I could share some words to say this journey through death and donation would get better and easier, but I'm a realist and I'm honest, and it doesn't get better and it doesn't get easier, and I'm not going to lie to you. But what does happen through this process of death and then donation is your heart grows around your grief, and it changes, and the shoes that don't fit anymore will find a new way to fit, or you'll find a new pair of shoes, but that grief is always going to be a part of you, and I personally would not want it any other way, because that tells me that Scott's with me everywhere, every day, everything that I do. This thing that they call donation means that you get to go through this, that your loved one left a legacy. That means your loved one's story is still being written today. Our family first met Sierra Donor Services on May 17th, 2001. Seems like an eternity and just yesterday. When I got here today, 2 people that were with us that entire journey are still here today, serving families like they did ours. If I close my eyes, I can still feel the room. I can still smell the smells, and I can still be baffled that my son can look perfect, but know that he is not. That day, our son Scott had a car accident, one that still doesn't make any sense to us. He wasn't speeding or texting. It was the kind of accident that literally hundreds of people would walk away from every day. But Scott, that wasn't his journey, and that wasn't his story. His accident happened just days before the junior prom. Our lives changed forever. There's before Scott's donation, and there's after Scott's donation. We were first told in the hospital that Scott probably wouldn't wake up. Me, my whole family, my husband, my daughter, Scott's teammates, we all prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed for the miracle that we knew was possible. We realized after a couple of days that the miracle we had prayed for was not going to happen. Not the one that we desperately wanted. And I'm going to be honest, not the one sometimes today I still wish would have happened. But on that 4th day in the hospital, when we knew Scott would not wake up, when Sierra Donor Services was able to share that Scott had signed up to be a registered organ donor when he was 15, when we got to make that decision because he was only 17, when we knew that Scott was a generous, funny, loving guy and would want this, we knew that we needed to honor it. We looked at his license, and he had that pink dot on his driver's license. That meant the world to us. In those last 24 hours that our family sat with Scott, taking in and breathing every moment that we could with him, my daughter, who was away at college and had come home, the mom of these 2 babies that are here with me today, turned and looked at me, and she said, "Mom, on the worst day of our lives, 5 families are getting the best news of our lives." That is when I realized that grief and Scott's death wasn't going to be the end of Scott's story. That we're going to talk about the legacy of donation. We're going to talk about the corneas, the tissues, the organs that he gave so that others could see and run and jump, and so that others could live. But that doesn't really lessen the hurt that you're feeling today, knowing that your loved one was a donor. Some people say it complicates your grief, because we should be happy for the people that are living. And we are, but we're also sometimes a little jealous that their family got a little more time than us. But as you go through your journey, I pray, and I hope that like our family, you find donation as a way to continue to tell your loved one's story. Some of the things that our family did in those early days, probably about 6 months after Scott's accident, was we started to get involved in the Donate Life community. The people in this room, the recipients, and we did that because we wanted to be able to talk about Scott, and we wanted to be with people who understood the complicated grief journey that we were on. We met other donor families. We heard about Cassie and Jesse, Kaylee, so many people. I could probably name 100 names of other donor families and donors that we met, and every one of them, not only did I get to hear their loved one's donation story, but I also got to share Scott's donation story, and I now know that Kylie loved music, and I now know that Quinn loved soccer. I know all those things, and those people were able to tell the story because of donation. Then we met recipients, so many recipients. Recipients like Kyla, recipients like Elizabeth that you're going to meet in a minute, and honestly, we adopted them all. I think Scott donated his organs to save 5 people, but we probably have 200 or 300 recipients that we view as our recipients. They often don't know who their donors are, so they adopted Rich as their donor. I know Linda, who blows bubbles every time she does something new because she wants to honor her donor who was young when she gave her liver. I know one young man who learned to ride a bike because somebody gave him a heart. We have Christian, who works in Disneyland, living his best life. And let me tell you, when I go to Disneyland and I see him, he gives me a hug, and it's just a glimpse into the hugs that Scott would have given me. It doesn't replace it, but it gives me a little bit of encouragement. Maybe some of you also struggle with the question that I used to. How many kids do you have? We use that question as an opportunity to talk about Scott. Because what do you answer? You say, oh, my daughter Marissa, she lives nearby and she has 2 kids. But we also say, my son Scott, he lives in heaven, but he donated 5 organs, and he donated gave sight to 2 people, and he helped 75 people. And every time we say that, it shifts the conversation from that really awkward, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry, I don't know how to respond to you, to, oh my gosh, what does donation look like? Tell me a little bit about that. And then I start to tell him about all the things he did, like hide his sister's glasses when we were camping and all of that kind of stuff. And then I break out the grandma pictures. I think you all get it. I think you all know. I want to thank you for letting me share a glimpse of our journey. I want to thank you for allowing SDS to play a role in your journey. This thing they call grief is messy. Life is messy. And today might be really messy for you too, and that's okay. But we all have a beautiful legacy from a loved one that we can admire and we can share. Just like the locks of legacy at SDS's campus, our loved ones have left a lock of legacy on our own hearts. I want to leave you with one last thought. Shayla, you ready? I have to show you first the picture that Shayla drew of Uncle Scott. And what do you want to tell them about Uncle Scott?
Uncle Scott saved 5 lives.
That's the legacy of donation, is we're able to teach our grandkids about who their uncle was that she never got a chance to meet. Thank you very much. And take this time, as Mindy said, to meet somebody else today.
The donor family aftercare manager at Sierra Donor Services can attest to the connection to donor families doesn't end with the donation. They're here for families to continue to provide support. Please welcome Michelle Rosedal.
Hi, everyone. So grateful to share this time with you all. I want to talk to you a little more about the locks and the lock fences. Okay, can you hear me now? Is that better? I got to get up close. Okay. So I want to share a little bit with you about the locks and the lock fences. Sean talked a little bit about it, but in the next coming months, a few months, we're going to be engraving your loved one's locks. And then we're going to be putting those locks, placing those locks on the fence in front of our office as a team. So we'll get together as a team, come together, and place all your loved one's locks on these fences. We welcome you to come see your loved one's lock at our office in West Sacramento. If you call in advance, we will find your lock for you on the fence. We'll put a little bow on your lock so it's easy to find. And we'll even come out and greet you and take pictures. We're very happy to have you if you come out to our office. Another thing I wanted to talk about real quick is that you may feel a need or to help spread the word. And if you do now or in the future, we do have opportunities for our donor families to be a part of our ambassador program. In your bags, there's information about the ambassador program and a way for you to get on our site and sign up if that's something that you want to do now or in the future. Some families are called to do this kind of volunteering, but it's something that oftentimes is healing for some of our families. Also in your bag, there's some information about a couple of aftercare supports that we have. So we have a donor family Facebook group just for donor families. And it's a wonderful place for families to connect that are experiencing the same thing, experiencing grief, but also with the caveat of their loved one being a donor hero. So we have a wonderful Facebook page where you can connect with other donor families. And we have a website. It's a Caring for Families website that has lots of wonderful resources, lots of grief resources, lots of information about support in your area. All of that is in your bag. So thanks so much again for being here today, and it's so great to see all of you. So grateful.
As I said earlier, as a transplant recipient, I can say there's a profound gratitude we recipients share for everyone who says yes to organ, eye, and tissue donation. But you don't have to take my word for it. Here are Elizabeth Artiega Navoa and Charlene Rocucci to share their experiences. Come on up.
Thank you, Kyla. Yeah. Is that close enough? Hopefully you can all hear me. I'm Charlene. And hang on 1 minute. Perfect. First of all, I want to welcome all of you donor families. Your decision to donate has totally transformed my life and the lives of countless others. I am sure all of you in this room know what it's like to drive on a foggy day. You're driving along looking for a particular street. You can't read the street signs. You creep up to an intersection and the red, yellow, and green lights are hazy. It can be a scary situation. In 1997, I was diagnosed with Fuchs' disease. It's an eye disease where the inner layer of the cornea clouds. It's a very slow process. Over the next 15 years, my vision slowly deteriorated. I first noticed the oncoming headlights would totally blind me for a few minutes when I was driving. I quit driving 2-lane roads. Then the headlights and even the taillights on the freeway blurred my vision, and I gave up driving at night. I became aware during the day the street signs were difficult to read. I'd be driving down looking for a particular street, and as I came upon what I thought was the street sign or where I needed to turn, I was so blurry I couldn't see it until I got right on top of the sign. And I would have to pass the street, go around the block, and try again to catch the right street. Then I realized I could no longer see house numbers from the car. I'd go to pick a friend up or go deliver something, and I would literally have to park the car, get out, walk up to the house to check on the house number because I couldn't see it any longer. The last thing I observed was the words on the printed page were so blurred I could no longer read. In 2013, my ophthalmologist referred me to a cornea specialist, and it was determined that I was a good candidate for a partial cornea transplant. 50,000 cornea transplants are done each year to improve and to give sight. I stand here today speaking before you as a transplant recipient. In September of 2013, I was given the gift of tissue donation, a partial cornea transplant in my left eye. I did not realize how poor my vision had become because Fuchs is such a slow process. The realization actually came the morning after my surgery when I could take the bandage off my left eye. I was sitting in my family room and I had a really bright quilt hanging on the fireplace. It was fall, like I said, it was in September, so it was a Halloween type quilt. Colors were like bright orange, yellow, white, black, green, and there were like autumn leaves, black cats, witches, candy corn. And when I first took that bandage off and looked at that quilt, I still get emotional. The colors were so bright, and the images were just totally surprised me. I sat there for quite a while that morning. I'd look at it, cover my left eye, look at it with the eye that still had Fuchs in it, was still cloudy. And it was all muted and no, just real dull colors, no sharpness to it. And then I would cover the right eye and look with my surgery eye. And hard to do this with one hand. I must have sat there for 20 minutes just going like this and like that, and it just amazed me what a difference the vision was with my new surgical eye. The colors were just so much more brilliant and so sharp. I even didn't realize before I had the surgery, again, how poor my vision had become, but I also did not realize what a difference it was going to make once I had that surgery. A couple of weeks, I saw the surgeon that did my surgery, and my first question was, when can I have the other eye done? And she said, well, we'll be probably about 6 months. But I did so well with the left, I was able to have surgery on my right eye in January of 2014. I now have clear 20/20 distance vision. I can see all the way to the back room, all the way back there. I just wear glasses, my trusty little glasses for reading. And if my arms are long enough, I can read at a distance. I have clear vision and a transformed life because you chose to donate life. I am an adventurous person. I like to travel, to hike. I'm a bird watcher and a whale watcher. I kayak. And I was reminded what a gift this new site is on a whale watching trip to Point Reyes Lighthouse. I could spot whale spouts way out in the ocean. I could spot them well before others could. And then I got to thinking, and I remembered that all those years when I used to go whale watching, the people pointed out spouts to me, and I could not see them. Just this last week, I was up at Lake Almanor with my family, enjoying the beautiful scenery. I was able to spot eagles up in the trees. I sat for 2 wonderful afternoons by the lake reading a 600-page small print novel. I also visited Lassen National Park, enjoyed the remnants of volcanoes, beautiful wildflowers, clear lakes, and new life popping up in those burn areas. I feel very strongly that I have been given a precious gift and a transformed life due to others who donated life. My volunteer time as an ambassador keeps fresh in my mind how precious this gift of my clear vision is. I feel it is my responsibility to share my story in the hope of passing the gifts along to help others. My life has been transformed because 2 different people and their families chose to give the gift of life, and they are remembered daily in my thoughts and my prayers. To all of you donor families, a very humble and grateful thank you.
As we will say, ay, ay, ay. I'm so nervous. Last time I did this, I was with Miss Santana, and I was only 6 months out, and I just started bawling. My face was round, but I was very happy to be alive. All right, here we go. My name is Elizabeth, and as you know, I come from a Hispanic family. My mother had 7 children, single parent, and we ended up crossing the river and came to Florida, where she started picking oranges. From there, we went to Mendocino County, Ukiah, and she was working out in the fields, and from there she worked herself up to work at the winery. And when we could, B and I, the eldest, I would go out there and help her out. But then at 25, I ended up getting sick, and it turned out that strep throat had attacked my kidneys. And from there, things started going downhill, and the doctor said I needed a transplant. And I'm going, wait a minute, what do you mean a transplant? He goes, well, you're gonna lose your kidneys. That means somebody else. And he started educating me, and I was just blown away, because it's like, we never heard of that. My mother never talked about it. Even in college, nobody talked about it. We come from a small town. And our chances up in Ukiah weren't that high. We would have to go to Santa Rosa or the Bay Area. So being that my brother was out here at Sac State doing criminal justice, he goes, you need to come out here. Your chances are going to be a lot better. So I followed them out here. And in '97, I had to go to dialysis. I was on dialysis for 2 years. I went from 130 pounds, weighing about 80 pounds. I thought sometimes I was going to fly away or get a free ride to Mexico or somewhere, because I was really thin and fragile. But I did it. And the only reason that I did it was because of my faith and God, that He was going to guide me through all this, and whatever was going to become of it, with open arms, I accepted it. 6 months, in '99, the doctor said, you have 6 months to live. I accepted it. I go, whatever it's going to be, Lord, you're going to show me the way, and you know what's best for me. I was very blessed in 1999 of September to receive my heart and kidney. I welcomed it with open arms. I did all that I could. I started working, going back to school as a surgical nurse, and then I got the staph infection in 2011. Things went down here very quick. I lost my kidneys. My heart was at 30%. I ended up also having ascites. I felt like sometimes I was 9 months pregnant. The good thing was when I got on the bus, people would give me their state, thinking I was pregnant. I go, okay, so I took advantage of that. That was the only good part about it. But it was a very hard journey. At times I didn't think I was going to make it. I could barely walk. I was on dialysis. But the whole time, my family would call me, how are you doing, Elizabeth? Oh, everything's fine. You don't need to worry about me. I'm good. Because I look at it, things could be a lot worse. Yeah, I was on dialysis, but that's what kept me going each day. Yeah, I couldn't breathe, but I was on oxygen. I got this. I'm going to go on. And at that time, I was also with Sierra Donor Services. I was out there as much as I could, trying to be out there giving my story an inspiration to somebody else to give the gift of life, as that was given to me at one time, and hoping that I would get that second opportunity. Well, 7.5 years later, very hard journey, and I don't think I could have done it without my husband. He's been a very true blessing. I think at times I thought he was going to go out the back door, but he was right there. Me throwing up, holding my hair, what was left of it, but he was there. And in 2018, I received my transplant. I got the call. I was just blown away. The doctor goes, "Are you still there?" "Yes." "Are you sure? Is it for me?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's a potential. We need you to come down, do the testing and see." And it happened. And I was scared. I let all my family members know, and when I woke up, it's like, "Elizabeth, you still have to be, God have you too. Things are not looking well." And they finally decided to take it out, and they go, "Okay, Elizabeth," the doctor goes, "I need you to show them that you got this. You're going to make it. You're going to lift up your head for about 10 seconds. I'm going to pull the pillow out of you and hold it. And then we'll pull the tube out of you and see if you can breathe on your own." And I'm praying, "Lord, please give me guidance. Give me the strength. I can do this. I want to live. Please." And I held it for 10 seconds. And I did it. Then he goes, "Okay, we're going to pull the tube out and see if you can breathe on your own." And they tried pulling that tube out, and they did it, but then they went to the oxygen. I couldn't do it. They had to give me the oxygen back. And I'm like, "Okay, I just need a few minutes. Let me catch my breath. I can do this." And they tried again. Nope. Tried it one more time, and they decided to give me a little bit more oxygen. "Okay, I can do this." And they finally did it. My lungs just filled with oxygen. And I did it. And it's like, I did it. To breathe, live life more. I mean, I'm getting the chills. I was living life. I got the second chance to have the gift of life. And I felt so bad because someone else lost their life for me to be here. And I felt bad for the family because they lost their life, their loved one. I told myself, I am going to do the very best, everything I got to do, even if I got to live in a bubble, to be able to live longer and to do the best and to live the fullest. And I'm able to be married 17 years now with my awesome and wonderful husband. We're foster parents, once again, to show our love to our child and make an impact in our lives and to theirs, giving them also the gift of life to be able to know that there is something better out there. And the opportunity to be here with Sierra Donor Services, to be able to share our story and make a difference in somebody else's life and say, yes, I want to give the gift of life. I want to be able to share and be able to have me to go on with somebody else. Because my motto is, don't wait for bad luck to knock on your door to make a difference. Because where we're going, it's not going to any use to anybody. It doesn't have to have a color, your size. I mean, I only weighed 80 pounds. I wasn't rich. So it doesn't have a name. Be the gift of life. Make a difference in somebody else's. I thank you all for allowing me to share my story with you. I'm very blessed to be here. It's countless times. I mean, I'm 54. I'm very proud of it to be here. So thank you. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you.
So these these are just two stories of transplant recipients. As I said earlier, because of the generous gifts of your loved ones, 401 lives were saved through organ donation and over 800 more through tissue donation. So we are profoundly grateful.
Well, I love laughter no matter how we get it, right? Amen. Well, now I want to share with you that the Sierra Donor Services works with 13 hospitals and 2 transplant centers in Northern California and Northern Nevada. Here to tell you more about the impact of Donor Heroes is the Executive Director of UC Davis Transplant Center, Melissa Bean.
Hello. Thank you to everyone. That's a hard act to follow. So this gathering is important for many reasons, and the reasons take on different meaning depending on who is asked. This is a club you now belong to, one that you wouldn't have chosen if given the choice. But you did make the choice. You did what you did on what must have been the worst day of your life. So thank you for being here to honor the people in your life who gave so generously. You should probably know who I am, why I'm here, and what I represent. Who I am is a daughter, a sister, an aunt. Well, my nieces came up with a term when I was at the ripe old age of 30. They said, because I was old and I was unmarried with no children, so I couldn't be their aunt. They said I was a grand sister. So that is what they call me. It stuck. That's been decades ago now, and I love it. I am a living kidney donor. My recipient and I celebrated our 13th kidneyversary, that's what we call it, kidneyversary, in June of this year. We both continue to do well, despite my lifelong affinity for Southeastern cuisine. I'm from the Southeast, and my mama's biscuits and gravy. I'm a registered nurse who has stood at the bedside of patients who woke up after a transplant with renewed vigor for life, with tears of gratitude in their eyes, in the presence of stunned family members who were also witnessing the miracle. This moment is like no other, and I will tell you that I do get tired, but I never get tired of that. Never. I'm a registered nurse who sat with families at the bedside of patients who died waiting for a life-saving organ transplant. These are the polarities of a career in transplant. For the past 7 years, I've served as executive director for the Transplant Center at UC Davis Medical Center. Why I'm here is to give voice to the transplant recipients whose lives were saved because of your generous gifts. There are some life experiences that cannot be adequately articulated in any combination of words. Unspeakable grief that you no doubt feel, and you will continue to feel on your grief journey. On the other side of that, there is unspeakable gratitude from transplant recipients and their family members. Life from loss. That is what I am here to represent. On behalf of transplant recipients who are alive today because of your loved ones. Their collective, unspeakable gratitude meets you in your collective, unspeakable grief. I like to think that transplant recipient gratitude and all the well-meaning goodwill, that overwhelming goodwill from their families, is stored in a cosmic container. Entry is allowed to those in this club who are grieving the loss of someone who donated life. When the dark moments come and grief eclipses your view, draw from this well of gratitude and goodwill. Drink deep. It exists because of the people we are here to remember. There's a quote about grief that I love. Grief, I've learned, is just love with nowhere to go. It's all the love you want to give but can't. All the unspent love gathers in the corner of your eyes, the lump in your throat, in the hollow part of your chest. Grief is just love with nowhere to go. Thank you.
So if you'll all take out your programs, we have a poem to read. And the poem will be read by our lovely 11-year-old liver transplant recipient, Davin Jones. You want to stand up here so they can see you? Can you see her, everyone? Here, stand just a little bit further. Right there. There we go.
My final gift. It is now time for me to move on into the dusk, but also the dawn. I will remain as morning comes, as I left behind a gift for someone, so others may walk, may talk, may see, where their life was locked. I offer the key. I am a donor to someone in need. My final gift, my final deed.
All right, we'll leave you with one last final blessing.
As I see many of you have your lights still on, and those of you who have not turned on your lights, can you do that for me for a minute? As light has a tendency of shining in the dark and making the darkness not so bright. And so eventually we're going to have to shut these lights off. These lights were to honor our loved ones, right? So when we shut the light off, it's really symbolic of the fact that we take on that light now. We're the ones that continue their legacy. We're the ones that keep telling the story. We're the ones that are still connecting with others to let them know this matters. My husband, brother, sister, daughter, they mattered. And this is just another way to let that happen. So would you bow your heads with me? Well, gracious Father, we just thank you for this opportunity to be together today, hear the stories, laugh and cry as we were told, and also just be able to reflect on our loved one and the sacrifice that was made. But Lord, that we look at it as a gift of life way before they passed away. The decision was made by just the symbol of that little pink dot on the driver's license. Lord, I pray that we can encourage others to get involved. I pray that others will understand that this is a beautiful gift of life that we are a part of. And Lord, I ask that as this comes to the conclusion, this ceremony, that you have put a peace in their hearts and a gentleness in the way that they continue to move on in this legacy. And this we pray. Amen.
Now, today's ceremony may be over, but we encourage you to stay connected. If that was the message that you got, I hope so. Just a reminder, there is a Facebook group for donor families and additional resources are located in your gift bags. We have several events coming up the rest of the year, and we want this opportunity to continue to say thank you, to keep going. So please stay in touch so that we may keep thanking you for the beautiful gift of life that you've so generously given. Thank you, everyone.